Hello, guys. Welcome to the next episode of Training Tuesday. I supposed to say this, but instead we have a banter today. So actually, the main reason is that I was playing Grenke Open and I had no chance, I had no time, I had no power even to prepare the next episode, next material, and so on. So we decided to make two banters this week. So the one today and the one as usual on Friday. So late Friday night Banter Blitz will be also there, usual time, usual day, and so on. So since it is not a usual banter today, standard rules will not apply as well. So I won't try to play newcomers at first place today. So I will just accept challenges one by one. And also, since I'm a bit tired after this exhausting tournament, and actually one of the worst tournaments in my life, we won't do it too long today. So there will be around 1 hour and a half, just a normal standard time. All right, let's do it. So there are a lot of different challenges already. So let's just take one by one. I will play better during this banter. If compared to what happened during the tournament, it was just a disaster, you know. Okay. And the first game I'm playing with white pieces. By the way, I lost a lot of games with white pieces during this tournament. That was something. Especially the game against Injic. GM Injic, you probably saw that online. Alright, so neither. Let's play what I played against Injic. E5, 92. H5. Wow, we just repeat the game against Injic. Very nice. But to be honest, I didn't analyze it yet. But I was quite satisfied with the position. So, queen d8, knight to c3. So Injic played knight e7, rook c8, knight c5, and then g6. Interesting. Yeah, so probably Johan just analyzed everything carefully. I don't know. Let's see. Very nice. Or it's just a psychological trick to force me to play something that I lost. Yeah, g6, just the same. Okay, so in the game against Injic, I played f4. I was actually satisfied with the position after the opening. The Crusher says, Andre, do you know you were in the same tournament as Simba7? He always plays you at Banter Blitz. Simba7? Can't even remember. I don't remember Simba7. And what is his real name? Probably you know. Because I don't know. So as we can see, what did I achieve here? Actually, a better pawn structure already, and I think after f6, black's position will be just very bad. But maybe I just overestimate my chances. Okay, there is a check on e3, which means I can't take on h5. But I can play something like knight e7, attacking the rook on c8, then creating a threat of taking on f7, queen takes h5, something like this. Or I can simply play, let's say, king to h1, just preparing, taking on h5. In which case, however, black will try bishop g5, I guess. There are a lot of different interesting ways to continue. I think knight e7 is the most straightforward. By the way, d6 is also hanging, so. The next question, did the whole tournament go poorly for you, Andre? Yes. Well, actually, first 4 rounds were not that bad. But starting from the round number 5, it was just like, well, I lost 200 points of elo in the sense of the quality of chess I played. So, I played not like an international master, not like even the candidate master sometimes. Yeah. But all right. The point is just to, to come back to the normal life after that. Because, it's usually very, very hard. All right, bishop c6. Bishop c6. Sacrificing the exchange. But I have a feeling that taking that exchange is not that cool for white, because if I take on c8, queen takes c8, h3 is hanging. Of course it should be also playable. I have knight d5 after that. And why not, after all? Exchange is an exchange, right? So let's take it. I guess I don't blunder anything. And now knight to d5. Yeah, just closing the bishop so that preventing queen takes h3. Another question, are you playing the title Tuesday? Not today, I guess. I'm too tired for this experience. But usually I try to participate. Okay, so probably black has some compensation, of course, because black has pair of bishops, but the king is just awful. And I simply have more space here in this position. So I guess I have a serious advantage. It should be like this. Okay, let's just improve positions of my pieces gradually. Okay, queen d5, intending to grab my knight on d5. And then to take the pawn on d5. So should I protect it or not? There is a possibility to play rook a5. I'll try it. It looks not that bad. Just protecting the knight on d5. Why not? I can even try something like b4, b5 now. Let's try it as well. Does it make sense? I mean, b5 takes b5, rook a8, king d7. Not quite sure if I achieve anything there. Okay, so let's start with this first. Just protecting the knight d5. But it doesn't change anything. I mean, if I play b5 after a takes b5, I still can't take on b5, so maybe it was just a waste of time. But in this case, after bishop b6, where it goes to a3, well, d5 is not hanging, right? So queen e4 made some small sense. Okay, what could be the plan here? So let's try to leave the rook this way. So through f5 to g5 to g8, maybe like this. Or maybe to g7. Also interesting square to occupy, just exerting some pressure on f7 pawn. b5. Interesting. Interesting and quite annoying, to be honest. It's time to simplify position somehow, but I can't see how. No, I was lucky. Queen g4 was, of course, much better. And since I missed a lot of things, actually, position is no longer that clear. So instead of, this b takes c4, just queen takes g4 first. And, well, maybe I still can take on f7, of course. Yeah, I still can take on f7. This intermediate check looks very nice, because if king goes to e8 or e6, well, e6 leads to checkmate after rook e7. If king e8, then rook e7 check, and then I take the queen. But again, I'm not quite sure anymore. So, takes on c4. And then when knight goes away somewhere, then h3 might be annoying. So position is unclear. But of course, the opening was quite good. So, actually g6, and in my opinion, this order of moves in general is not very good for black, because it gives him a chance to play f4. The point is that if black takes on f4, there is a queen d4. Extremely annoying move, just attacking the rook and, well, creating sort of knight f6. And black has no good defense. In a game against Injic, there was f5, but of course it can't be good, because it weakens a lot and actually makes black's position very vulnerable, and the king is still in the center. So this definitely violates several opening principles, and no questions white has an advantage here. So this is quite a decent variation for white, and if black wants to develop the bishop this way, probably it's better to do this right now, when white has no threat after f4 to play f5. So there is still bishop on f1. White is still not castled, so black has the time to play g6 after bishop c4, bishop to h6. By the way, controlling f4 square. And if castles, let's say, black can also castle, and f4 is not that dangerous anymore. And then knight e7 and rook c8. This way, with the knight e7, rook c8 first, prior to anything else, well, black has to be ready that there is a problem with the development. So now g6 is complicated because of f4. If not g6, then what to do? Because sooner or later, black will have to play g6 to protect h5 at very least. And white is already developed, so white is ready for some active operations. And white has very strong knight on d5. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the next one is Aldisto or something like that. I'm sorry if I just pronounce it incorrectly. Accept. Here we go. C4. All right. To play something decent or something new, I don't know. Let's try this. Definitely not the best move, but let's see how it works. So what about just playing knight f6 here? Alright, so I expected actually e5 move, but d3 may be also normal. Why not after all, right? So let's play e5. It's quite fresh position to me. So there is a hole on d4, alright? Bishop c5 looks like a move. Knight c6 is also an interesting try. There is a possibility to play c6 d5, I guess, but not immediately, of course, but in the future. Looks more realistic. So let's start with the knight c6. My bishop on b7 is, of course, a bit misplaced. That's for sure. Knight to d4, knight goes to f3. Let's start with the bishop c5. Not sure what white is doing. I mean, why h3? It's possible just to develop the knight and then to castle. Knight g4 wasn't actually the case. Have no idea. But I also have some problems with useful moves here, because well, the main problem is the bishop on b7, of course, so it looks very bad. How to solve the problem with this guy? Just to play knight e4, c6, d5 at some point. Maybe just immediately, I don't know. Of course, it's possible just to come back to c8 after d6, but then my bishop on c5 will be misplaced. Black's position is definitely not very comfortable here. So how to regroup my pieces correctly? I don't also like my knight on f6. I would rather have it on e6. So let's just maneuver it there. I have a feeling it can't be very nice, but well, it might work. And the guys say time. That's true. I forgot that it's no longer Grenke open, so I don't have the time to think. Control in d4, better. Better than before. Yeah, that was easy. White wanted to play before, it decided not to give white this easy play. At least to force knight to spend some time. To force white, yeah, to force white to spend some time. I'm preparing this. And f4 is ready. I'm curious if I can play g5 even. Doesn't look like a good idea. Let's try h5 instead. So if f4, then h4. Then g4 and I achieve nothing. Yeah, stupid idea. But my opponent decided that it makes sense not to play f4, and this is sort of achievement. Sort of achievement for me. Now I can prevent f4 forever, just playing g5. But maybe it's even better to wait a bit and prevent b4. So I have to be a bit faster now. Okay. It's time to occupy this square. Oh. I missed a4 was hanging. Not bad. Such a stupid play. Oh my goodness. Alright. Bishop d6. So I'm pawn down. But I had very nice on d4. Very nice knight. I'm missing some words. Yeah. Okay. So let's get rid of this one on d5. Knight goes to f5, right? So let's prevent it. And another one is going to f4, I guess. A nice spot. But why the hell I blundered a pawn? That's an interesting question. All right, let's do this. Position looks absolutely insane. But if knight takes d4, I will be happy. Of course, I don't have to take on c5. And now I have a dynamic resource d5 at some point. Okay, to take with the pawn or with the bishop. Let's take with the no. Let's take with the bishop. So, can I take here? Yes, I think I can. Now it feels like I'm a pawn up, but no time at all. Well, 30 seconds. That's okay. I still have some time. Oops, my queen is hitting. Protecting b5. Wasn't necessary, of course. But okay. Yeah. Bishop on a8 is just a shame. Oops, that was removed. Yeah, come on. Removed the wrong move, just blundered and lost. And actually the game was just a crap. Yep. So crappy opening and then crappy position. Of course, white played not the best way, that's for sure. But still, it was just okay to have a decent position, especially after I decided to blunder the pawn. Yeah, here I think f4 was just much better for white. And actually this underlines black's poor development. It's very hard to solve opening problems now. So white wants just to grab the space. If I play h4, then just g4. And what black achieved? Nothing. White has simply normal English, opening-like position, very nice one, very decent one, and feels very fun. So I would prefer white here in 100% of games. But anyway, let's go further. So, challenges. Don William is the next. Accept. And again with black. So what to play here? Let's try this, g6. Not sure if it makes sense, but let's try it. So it's sort of modern defense. I mean, I will play d6 very soon, especially after a4. Since I don't have a chance to play b5, I will play d6, because I have to continue development of my pieces. Oh, c4, come on. This is too much, I think. I mean, to play a4 and then c4. Just weakening b4. No, it can't be good. So let's just control b4 square now. So it's a programmatic move. I want to make my bishop g7 active. That's the point of having the bishop on g7. So to make it happen, to make it active. D takes c5 just helps me to pursue this goal, because this just opens the diagonal. And now my bishop just attacks b2, making white's development not that easy. Development of the bishop c1, first of all. And also I have the access to d4 and b4 squares, which is also very good for my knights, for example. Knight g5 attacking f7. Okay, I can come back with the king, I guess. There is also a possibility to play knight h6, but there is no sense in playing knight h6 if you don't intend to castle. So I think that king e8 is better. So I lose the right to castle, that's for sure, but maybe it's no longer that important because we have the endgame stage. Did Andre say let's play some modern defense? Well, maybe I said that, but well, I meant modern defense. But maybe, yeah. Well, the way I play it, it looks like a modern defense. That can be. Rook a2. What the hell is going on? Doesn't look like a healthy move. Rook a2. I understand the idea to protect b2 to develop the bishop c1, but after knight c6 there is a threat of knight b4. My position looks very good already, but I can spoil everything easily, according to my experience. It is very, very likely scenario. Okay, bishop d2, go into c3. But after knight b4, okay, bishop takes b4, of course. I'll have pair of bishops, but at the same time, my pawn structure will be no longer that that good. But maybe it's okay, I don't know. Everything looks very tempting. For example, simple move knight f6, developing the knight and creating a threat of h6 and then taking e4 pawn. So let's try this one. Just attacking e4 pawn. Let's see what white will do with this pawn. Because e5 square is controlled by my knight c6, so there is no possibility to play e5. Okay, bishop d3. But knight goes to e5 is possible. Attacking this light squared bishop, but then king e2. Well, all this looks not very convincing. Alright. Let's try knight to d7. Now I want to do what? To play knight b4, and after bishop b4, c b4, I will have c5 square for my knight. Looks logical. Bishop c3. This move looks very tempting. Tempo move again. Attacking bishop d3. And now I have to play knight b4, I guess. Because this bishop c3 becomes really annoying. Winning my knight. I guess bishop takes b4 is more or less forced, okay. And now I can say just come back to d7 to occupy c5. Especially after b3, this square looks like the most natural one for the knight. b3 is attacked. Okay. h6 or bishop c3. Bishop c3 first. And now even f6, just to have f7 square for my king, because I can't castle any longer. But king on f7 looks just okay. So my next problem is my bishop c8, right? I can put it on c6, let's say. But first, I will do rook d8, prevent a knight to d3. That was the idea behind knight e1, I believe. And knight on d2 is attacked. This may force easily a knight e1 just to go back to f3, which is good. No, rook to d1 instead. Knight takes b3, knight takes b3, rook d1, bishop e1 wins a pawn, I guess. Let's try it. Why not? The first tangible achievement in this game. Takes, extra pawn. But a doubled one. But okay. Pawn is a pawn, right? And white has too many weaknesses here. And no time. So let us just finish it with winning more material. And now b5 should be decisive. At least I hope so. Yeah, and the position absolutely lost. So two connected fast pawns, the bishop against the knight, and so on. So, in my opinion, this c4 was the start of, well, difficulties, at least. After c5, however, d takes c5 was a serious mistake, so I do believe d5 was better, just grabbing the space at least, right? So, actually, white lost something, weakening this b4 square too early in the game. At the same time, it's not that actually serious in a sense of long-term play, because, well, white has a chance to play a5. White controls b5 square additional. White has more space after all, so everything is okay here. So just d5, of course. D takes c5 helps white because this gives up the center. After d takes c5, I have an easy access not only to b4 square but to d4 as well with my knight. So black has nothing to be worried about here. Black simply has a better position already. So d5 was the only chance to achieve a decent position after the opening. That's my idea. All right, let's go further. The next is Mirko MNE from Montenegro. Accept. And again with black, come on. It's a black pieces challenge today. E4. So c5? No, I don't want to play c5. So let's play something normal. At least in one game. Relopes. Yeah, Mirko is aware of this theory, at least. First moves are made quickly. Let's see what is going on. Oh, d takes e5. Well, it's definitely not the way to fight for the opening advantage here, because it simplifies position a lot. And I'm not sure whether to take with the knight or with the pawn here. If I take with the pawn, there might be a problem with the bishop d5, right? Yep. So I guess it's better to take with the knight. Oh, seriously? Now black has no problems, I guess. And only white has some problems because white is still not developed completely. Bishop b7. If knight goes to f3, let's say I take on e4, bishop e4, bishop e4, rook e4, rook d1, rook e1. This is nothing, right? Nothing. So I can't really prevent knight to f3 move. What can I do? So knight will go to f3, and then what? Then bishop somewhere. But e3 will be complicated because of the hanging e4 pawn, so probably I have to protect e5 somehow. Let's try to improve the knight. b4. That is very strange. Let us just undermine the pawn. Oh, this weakens the pawns on the queen side. Come on. Knight b3. All right. Honestly, I can't get white's play here. So I just created a lot of weaknesses on the queen side for no reason. I want to try just a direct attack against the a2 pawn here. Let's grab this one. Pair of bishops. And the rook goes to a8 just to attack a2. Bishop b1, seriously. Because I can't see any other defense. Okay, knight c1 is another ugly move, of course. And it's time to actually regroup my pieces, so probably bishop has nothing to do on b7 anymore, so it's better to have it on e6. Yeah, it will be much more logical position. So let's see what white does here. I mean, bishop b1 or knight c1 or maybe even something else. And then maybe I will have the time to play bishop c8, bishop e6. f3. This drops very important pawn. I guess it's over now. Should I attack this knight or not? Let's try this way. If that goes away, there will be a problem with the back rank, with the first one, I mean. And then bishop goes here, b5 is no longer hanging, so I have this desired time to bring my bishop to a much more logical position. On b7, it was just stupid, right? I have a feeling I have to do this move. Let's grab this one as well. I don't know why, I just want to finish this game with the checkmate somehow. That's why I played h4, just weakening, well, not weakening, but fixing the weaknesses. I duck squared once, so now I want to play bishop g5, bishop f4 at some point, maybe. b4, b3 is also the easiest way to win this. And maybe I will just combine two ideas. Bishop g5, b4, bishop f4, b3, rook c1, and checkmate somewhere there. And my opponent, yeah, just resigned because it is already lost. So actually, well, d takes c5 is not a very ambitious move, but it's still playable, it's okay. After 95 takes 92, maybe bishop b7 was not the best reaction, because if white plays something like bishop c2, of course it's better to have the bishop on e6 somewhere. So maybe there is a way to force white just to go away with the bishop somehow. Maybe with a simple c5. Yeah, c5 looks interesting. So I just want to play c4 and then to c. So if, let's say, white undermines b5 pawn here, I have the time to play c4, And if bishop goes away, I have a choice between bishop b7 and bishop e6, and I guess it's better to have bishop here on e6. Because it controls d5 and f5 simultaneously, so this prevents white from easily getting to one of the squares by putting the knight on e3 after some maneuvering. And here it controls also b3 additionally, so there is a maneuver like knight d7, knight c5, knight b3. Of course, a4 is not forced here, so white probably has something better, like knight f3, but I can try doing the same. So c4, bishop c2, bishop e6 of course drops to pawn e5. Maybe it's possible just to play bishop d6 protecting it, just for now, and then bishop to e6, and then the same knight e7, knight c5 at some point. So position should be, I don't know, maybe slightly better for black, maybe just equal, right? Bishop b7, you play bishop c2, that was correct. After knight d7, the only thing is b4. That was really strange. That was really strange. Much better was just to keep developing your pieces. There are two ways. The one is to play knight f1, knight e3, but this gives me a chance to play knight c5 quickly, get into d3, maybe not very pleasant for white. So I would recommend knight to f3, just controlling e5, so that's restricting my knight d7 a bit. So I have to spend the time on protecting e5. I wanted to do something like bishop d6 here. And then you can play just normal bishop to e3 move. And, well, at least it's equal, right? So no problems. But after b4, white started experiencing problems because I just have a chance to undermine this pawn. And I have another resource, it is c5. So it's absolutely unnecessary for white. And of course b takes a5, rook a5. Well, now I have a better pawn structure. And I gradually just converted this positional advantage, right? Okay, so a sip of water and we go on. The next one is Smugs 2006. Accept. e4. c5, knight f3. Neither. Probably neither. Let's repeat. h6 instead of h5. Maybe it makes sense just to prevent bishop g5. Okay. So the point behind playing h6 is of course preventing g5 and bishop g5 and so on. But at the same time it gives me a chance to use this pawn in the future. Somehow. Like h4 g5 or something. But first let's continue development. So the programmatic idea here is to play knight d5. Another possibility is to try knight g3, knight f5, having this situation. Because if black plays g6, the castling will be complicated. So let's try it. g6 will weaken black's position, I think. And if there is no g6, then knight f5 looks very promising. Attacking d6 at very least. It's not that easy to get rid of this knight. And if black takes on f5, of course I take with the e4 pawn. My bishop on g2 becomes a monster. And I have also a very easy plan like h4, g5. Grabbing more and more space, kicking the knight f6 away, and then occupying d5 finally. Yeah, this looks very promising. Especially after queen c7, this looks like a tempo move. But let's try to understand black's idea. Maybe queen c4 is prepared, attacking g4. I don't think it will be really dangerous, so let's just play h4, g5. So now I want to play g5 and knight e5 with the attack on the king side. Maybe I just want to play g5 followed by f6. g5 followed by g6, especially if black takes on g5. So everything looks cool here. Rook a to c8. Ignoring g5. Alright, let's do it. So now, knight e5, queen d8, or just queen h5 right now, or g6. G6. I want to start with the queen h5, to be honest, just protecting g5 pawn, having this knight d5 still as a threat, and maybe intending to play f4 with the rook left at some point. Another possibility is to make a rook leave through the third rank. There is also a possibility to play bishop d5 at some point, intending to play g6. Also, f6 followed by bishop e4 becomes very annoying threat as well. Yeah, so queen h5 is kind of multi-purpose move. Yeah, pair of bishops. What is more importantly, bishop g2 has no counterpart, so black will definitely struggle through light squares all over the board. But what I need is just what? Did I miss something, or is it just a blunder, I guess, or a desperation? Okay. That's it, I think. So now, in addition to all the advantages, I have the extra material, which is very pleasant. No chances for black to save it. Alright, let's put this knight to this well-deserved dominating position on d5. Queen g5 drops. the rook on c8. Is there a checkmate along the h file? Okay, I don't need it. Well, I will need it, but later. Checkmate in general, not necessarily along the h file. Yeah. Time to resign, my friend. So many different possibilities. Let's just grab the pawn on d6. Why not? Why not? Extra rook, and I can't see compensation. Okay. No. So, I'm not quite sure that I reacted with the best possible pieces placement against this h6. That was quite logical, right, to try to exploit f5 square, since g6 just additionally weakens black's position. So after g4, bishop e6, bishop g2, and knight to d7, I guess there was also an interesting idea just to play f4 at some point. So after castling and bishop e7, let's say here f4 is interesting. After e takes f4, knight takes f4, but this gives black, of course, e5 square. So black can even just give white a chance to take on e6 with the knight, but having this strong knight on e5 gives black definitely some counterplay. Another typical idea, just to put the knight on d5 immediately, or in some time, I don't know, to play bishop e3 or even bishop d2 is an interesting idea, but it works fine against b5. If black doesn't intend to play b5 in the nearest future, then of course it's better to have the bishop on e3, usually. Sometimes white even plays bishop e3, knight goes through b6 to c4, white goes back to c1 and plays b3 and bishop b2. Also possible maneuver, so a lot of different possibilities here. So knight d5 looks like a good alternative to knight g3 that I played, but here, of course, after castling knight f5, white should be better. Maybe it was still possible to play g6. So this definitely weakens black's position, but at least it prevents white from occupying f5 square, which looks very critical. And black can even do, I think, this manual castling like king f8, king g7. Not even castling, just moving the king to a probably safer position on g7. But safety of the king is not the case here. What is important is just to coordinate the pieces. And with the king on e8, of course, it's not possible to do so. It's better to have the king somewhere on g7 here. And then black will have even something connected with h6, h5. Some active possibilities here. White can try something like knight d5, I think. Quick bishop e3, queen d2 is also a possible idea here, but I think knight d5 is just the most promising. And then just standard play for this variation. After bishop f5 and e takes f5, of course white is already better. Having this great bishop, having this d5 square, this simple plan of h4 and g5, so I do believe. Here black is already worse, and the rest is not very interesting, but probably irresponsible to protect black's position better a bit, avoiding these blunders of taking on g5 and so on. Okay, Quranic student is the next. Accept. And I'm playing with black. Let us continue. Quranic student, what is going on? e4. All right. What didn't I play against Quranic student? I think I played everything. But mainly I played e5, right? So let's try e5 this time again. Knight f3. d6 or knight c6. Let's try d6 this time. d4. E takes d4. Knight f6. And bishop e7. So-called Antoshan system or Antoshan variation. Alright. Bishop c4 is quite a distant system. But I'm not sure that it is the best one. Bishop to b3 also looks not very good move because my intention was to play knight a6, knight c5 after a5, and bishop b3 looks like a help, to be honest, because white will definitely want to save this bishop on the board, and this looks like white just wastes the time. Okay. I think bishop goes to c4 or bishop goes to a2. Bishop c4. So now, how to improve my position? Rook e8 is a typical move to prepare bishop to f8. Let's try it. Bishop e6 was also an interesting try. It's a typical idea for the closed Philidor. So to take on d4, followed by bishop e6, or even knight e6 at some point, but I do believe that rook e8 is also a move. After f3, I have a feeling that there is a possibility even to try d5, but maybe it's too early. Bishop f8 looks just more natural to me, just preparing everything carefully. Now d5 is the case in many variations, I guess. So queen goes away. Alright. This gives me some time, right, for regrouping. So let's try to do that. And it's time for another knight. Because on f6 it was quite stupid. So let's try to search for a better position. Somewhere on b6 or maybe on e5. Bishop f1 is prepared, I bet. What about just having one knight on b4? Exerting some pressure on c2, because it looks like I can occupy, of course, very nice positions with my pieces, but there is no direct contact to white's pieces, so let's just try to challenge at least something in white's position. There is, of course, a constant problem with the bishop c8. It's very hard to find a good square for it. So maybe it makes sense to make a regrouping like bishop d7, rook d8, bishop c8, but at the moment I don't have the time, I guess, for it, because if I play bishop d7, knight d4 goes to e2, I guess, attacking d6, and there might be a problem with protecting this pawn. But maybe it's not hanging, I'm not sure. But I want to prevent it somehow. So first I will start with this. Just getting rid of this rook d2. So I want this rook to go to e2 simply. And then I will play bishop d7, rook to d8, and bishop to c8. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah. Now I guess I can play bishop d7. I have the time. Bishop a1 was strange. Can't get the idea. White plays on time? Or what is going on? Yeah, maybe. Let's try something active. So f4 is my target. Or maybe it just worsens my position because f7 becomes deadly weak. So maybe it's better to take on d5 first. To take on e2, then to take on d5, and then to take on f4. But f4 is not hanging in this case. Interesting. Well, let's take. Okay. I underestimated the weakness on f7, to be honest. And now d5 is protected, but c2 is hanging. Position is just a mess. I don't understand it. Oh my goodness. I just blundered everything, right? I just blundered everything. I have no time. Come on. Oh, that was very bad. Whew. It will be the first time that Chronic Student won the game against me. Very good. Yeah, there is no reason to play further because I'm just a minor piece down and no time at all. Congratulations. Congratulations. That was a well-deserved win, I think. Because you played so many times against me and you finally managed to win. Very nice. So where did I make my main mistake? So position was quite typical. We were just maneuvering, going here and there. Yeah, maybe d5 was too much. Maybe d5 was too much. But it definitely deserved the attention at the very least, just to take on f4. And yeah, instead of taking on e2, because after that I just completely missed that my knight on c5 is standing. Yeah, that was very bad. But okay, anyway, very good game. So let's keep doing the thing. Okay. So the next challenger is Sebi 1996. Accept. And the next will be Duke Crusher, who's in the mood to criticize me today. Maybe a bit. But maybe it's just a wrong impression because I read the chat only from time to time. Yeah. Illusion defense. As far as I remember, this is the best way to react. This immediate capture on d6. Now I simply have no problems with the development. I guess bishop g4 should be played here, but I'm not sure because I don't play looking with black. But as far as I remember, there was some reason why I place h3 in such a situation. So if I don't play bishop g4, I may just experience some problems with the development of this bishop in the future. And after bishop g4, there is a possibility to play bishop h5, g6, even if white starts attacking my bishop. Moreover, at some point, there will be a threat to c4. It wasn't an immediate threat because of hanging b7 pawn, but, well, anyways. Alright. So what to do now? Bishop usually goes to f6. Where goes this knight? b8. Not quite sure. Let's start with the rook e8. Occupying the open file. Now bishop to f6 looks natural. Also improving the position of this bishop slightly. And now knight hits c6, then d5. Bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, and knight goes to e5. Well, I don't like the idea of giving my opponent a pair of bishops, but maybe I'm forced to do this, more or less. There is another try, I guess. Just to play a5. Trying to play a4, maybe disturbing white a bit. And if white plays something like a4, there is a possibility to use b4 square with the knight. Let's see how white will react to this. So what about a4? Is it possible now? And this weakens pawn c4, so I can take on f3, I think. So if bishop takes knight c4, then takes b2, I think it is a good exchange operation. So white's pawns on the queen side become a mess, which is very nice. All the pawns are somewhat weakened, but if I take on b2, there is a possibility to take on b7, then rook a7, and queen takes b2. But then bishop takes d4, attacking the knight, attacking the bishop b7, but then bishop goes away somewhere, and I can take on c3 and take on a4 after all. So it will be a pawn up, but with the knight against the bishop. Let's try it. Okay, why decided not to do this? Maybe it makes sense. So now b7 is attacked twice. I can take on d4, but then queen can take on b7. Then my rook goes away somewhere. But where? On a6 maybe. Queen comes back to, or maybe rook goes to c file, and this position doesn't look very promising to black. Knight c6, queen takes b7 again. It is a problem. Rook a7 now goes to b5. I can't see a normal way to protect this pawn comfortably. So let's just take on d4. Let's see. Yeah. All right. To a5, then queen b4, but then c5 protecting everything. Let's go to a5. Just knight to d7. Continuing development and keeping creating some threats like knight e5 or knight b6. Quite annoying ones, I believe. I don't know where it is better to go. Knight e5, yeah. And now queen just can't protect everything. So knight on c3 is hitting bishop on f3. Now there is a threat of damaging the pawn structure there on the king side. Yeah, this looks very nice. Okay. Just preparing to checkmate. c4. I can't calculate everything properly, but let's try this. Just connecting the rook. That's my main idea. Yeah, very strange decision, maybe a bit premature because there was a possibility to play rook to e1. And I'm not sure I have a dark checkmate or something because there is a problem with the back rank. So for instance, I can't take on e4 now. Well, maybe there is something like this. So check, king here. Still can't take on e4 because of a checkmate over the back rank, but I think I can try something like queen h1, rook takes e4, but this also doesn't look very clear. So king goes through e2 to d2 and then hides somewhere on the queen side. So I wanted to try something connected to, I don't know, maybe bishop to a7, even just going away from this attack, protecting b8 square. So now rook e4 might be a move, and so on. So definitely black. Well, knight f6, g takes f6, and then rook e8. Oh, maybe that was. No, it wasn't. Okay, bishop a7, knight f6, g takes f6, rook takes e8, king g7. So still, white has a problem. f2 is hanging. h2 is hanging. Not that simple to escape the attack, but maybe bishop a7 is just not the best solution. Maybe just bishop e5, I don't know. Yeah, it looks very solid, just going away from this vulnerable d4 square, still attacking h2. But I mean, it was still possible to play. Maybe because of the time pressure, my opponent decided to resign. By the way, after c4, there is a question why not to take on c4. In this case, actually, after rook h5 and rook to e1, at first glance, black has bishop takes f2. Because if knight takes, queen is hanging, but rook on e8 is still hanging. So I guess it was possible to play queen c4 here. So I don't think c4 was the best move. It just looked tempting, and having problems with the time on the clock, I decided to force the things a bit, and also to make my opponent a bit nervous. All right, let's go. Duke Crusher, accept. e4. b6. All right. Thanks for helping me making position non-standard. I was struggling to find the way. Let's play this. In a style of King's Indian attack or ready opening or something. Let's attack. When I see g6, I just want to play h4 every time. When I see h5 after g6, I want to put my knight on g5. So let's do it. Sooner or later, I will get there. All right, castles. Or maybe bishop g5 will be also not that bad, right? Let's also grab a bit more space. Why not? Why not after all? Oh, e5. Okay, there is a possibility to play d5, of course, but I would like to keep this tension in the center. Because if I play immediate d5, black has no problems with finding the plan. Just to play f7, f5 or something. When there is a Vulnerability on e5, f5 is not that simple to play. Also, d5 just closes diagonal a to g8. So I can use this diagonal. Now you can see this. So if f5, queen b3 might be really annoying. Okay, how to improve my position? So typical way to do this is just to protect e4 pawn and then to play knight c4. So let's do it. So rook to e1 protecting e4 and then maybe knight c4. I'll maybe play a4, a5. Let's see. Or just a4 controlling b5 so that my knight on c4 will occupy a comfortable position. I don't know. Let's have a look. Knight c6. Attacking d4. Yeah. It's heading. After d5, of course, knight goes back, I guess. But this tempo doesn't give me anything serious. So let's just keep improving positions of my pieces. So let's try this knight on c4. Really? Why not, after all? So now we have sort of Ruy Lopez with very strange placed white pieces. Wow. What a great transposition. I don't even understand what to do in this position. Wow. Knight to e3 followed by knight d5. Let's try this idea. Maybe it will work. Maybe not. Aggressive. Very, very aggressive guy. Now I think it's time. Okay, d5. Knight somewhere. Now a4. Typical reaction to this a5, b5 pawns. b4. Okay. Now let's say bishop d2. Opening the b file. Now I want to occupy the b file and gradually get to a5 pawn. There is also a possibility to play bishop e3, creating a sort of taking the knight on c5. This will probably force the knight going back. Let's see. So I have a bit more space. Duke is going to play f5, I guess. But what about bishop e3 move? Because a4 is protected, e4 is protected, and now there is a positional threat of just taking on c5 and the tactical threat of taking on c5 and taking on e5, or taking on e5 and then taking on c5. And it doesn't look like black has a good defense, but maybe I blundered something like knight takes e4 here. Knight e4, queen e4, bishop d5. Oh my goodness, yes, it is. So to knight takes c4, I have to do something like knight takes c5 followed by bishop takes c4. But that is already another story. Yeah, knight e4 was a great resource, I guess, that I completely missed. Oh yeah. Now, of course, I'm much better. Having better pawn structure, better material, and so on. Yeah, but knight e4 was just cool. Just great. And I blundered it. Just blundered it. Again and again. Yeah, blundering something at some point is just the story of my, not my whole life, but my life during last 5-6 days on average. On average, I just blundered at least a pawn in each and every game. Okay, f5, e5, another rook to d1, looks also winning. Everything looks winning here. So let's just centralize the pieces. Thanks. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work when you have less time. Yep. Alright, so there was an interesting possibility. So here, instead of rook to b8, knight takes e4. And, well, I'm not sure that white has anything decent. So queen takes e4 leads to bishop takes d5, attacking the queen and the knight simultaneously, and the problem is that if queen goes to d3 protecting this knight, then e4. And black is by no means worse here. Probably black is much better. Of course, it's not probably forced to take on e4, but, well, the position already looks very, very bad for white. So even if I take on e5, d5 and bishop e4, black still can take on d5. Black has a better pawn structure, pawns start moving, and so on. So yeah, bishop d3 was just not in time. Of course, it is a very tempting move, but as we can see, knight takes e4 changes everything. So instead of doing it, knight to g5 was better, I guess. Protecting e4 several times, so just overprotecting it. And then trying this bishop e3, bishop c5 idea. But of course, black can try f5. And I think it is the best try for black. It weakens a lot, but at the same time, it exerts some pressure on white's position, so maybe it's still possible to find the counterplay. Maybe white can react with the bishop e3 simply. I'm not quite sure. Here it is possible to take on e4, then knight will have the access to e6, but d5 will be hanging. So a lot of pros and cons, and a lot of controversial things. So I'm not quite sure. Anyways, many thanks for this evening, yeah, many thanks for understanding that I was definitely not in the best shape. Sorry for the poor quality of playing, but at least I provided you with some positive emotions, because a lot of people managed to win today, right? So at least I can remember two disastrous losses today. So congratulations, and see you all this coming Friday during just normal traditional long late Friday night Banter Blitz. Take care. Bye bye.